Hi guys, and welcome back to Top Tier Tiers review on Persona 5. Today we are covering Blue. This is the first time we've split into 3 recording sessions, I think. There's reasons for that, but we don't need to regale you with those, and we can get just straight into the cards themselves.
We're poor at planning.
Yeah, so with me I have the same people as last time, plus more. So I've got my co-host, Chris.
Yep,
Yeah.
they need me apparently.
Yeah, something like that.
Something
We've
like
got
that.
Tim Tom, the Dank Engine, one of our regulars. He's gone to get Jack in the Box or something. Well, he's back now anyway. And then we have the chap who joined us for Yellow and Green, Celid MD. Yes, and then we also have the newly crowned English World Champion, who's I can't even remember what you did. You just want to be called Emilia-tan?
That's what it says on the screen.
I'm I'm not gonna actually call you that. Like now that I've said you're the English World Champ, everyone knows who you are. So without further ado, we'll move straight on to the cards. First card is Navigation Roll, Futaba. So this is a 3-2-5-5, which generally means for a 3-2 that it has some absurd power buff or it's a support card. And in this case, it's the latter. Its first ability is all of your other Phantom Thief or Coffee traits gain 1,500. So it's just a global 1,500, pretty good. And then it's got, during your opponent's turn, when damage dealt by you isn't cancelled, you get to scry. So it's defensive scry effect, and it works anywhere. It doesn't have to be in the front row like every other defensive scry, which makes it a very potent card. But then it has one extremely powerful ability. When another character is attacked, if you have 3 or more other Phantom Thief or Coffee traits, you may pay 1 and discard a Pants Climax from hand. If you do, choose one of your opponent's battling characters, and it gains this cannot deal damage to a player. So it is 1 cost, discard a Climax for anti-damage. So we've alluded to really strong cards. Yeah, I think this is the best card in Persona 5, just straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this is the reason why Persona is threatening and not anything else.
Wait. Isn't this a double standard? Because Charlotte has the same card.
No, but you see, this is a back row, and it has...
Charlotte does not have the same card.
Charlotte isn't comparable.
I know they don't run it in Charlotte, and I know this one's good, but I for the first time I noticed this also doesn't affect Yami.
Yeah.
And that's still relevant, actually.
Yeah, that's fair, but Talavru isn't really meta in Japan, and while it is very relevant, it means that against every other deck, you still have a massive trump card. Like,
also,
half of why Talavru is so good is because it itself has anti-damage.
Also, the Charlotte one that has the anti-damage effect doesn't have the on-scry effect when you take damage, right?
It's not anti-damage either.
Oh yeah, it's not.
Well, I think Charlotte one doesn't. Oh, Charlotte run rest, right?
No, it's can't front attack.
Front attack.
Oh.
Yeah, that's.
I love anime. I thought it was cannot deal damage.
So something.
Are you kidding me? Charlotte would be so much better if it had.
Incredibly important here is that unlike the Charlotte one, you can use this one multiple times a turn.
Yes.
And
because it's not when this is front.
And unlike the Charlotte one, you can choose where to use it.
Well,
it's a character in battle, dude.
It also prevents things like.
Yeah, but you reuse it. If you have one in the back row, you can use it for all 3 slots if you want to, as opposed to the now, which only covers your own slot.
Yeah.
You also have like the added bonus of, versus money counter, where you're not slammed by like anti-event effects or anti-counter effects.
This also is more advantageous against wind triggers because you use this effect pre-trigger.
Yes.
So if your opponent does sack into a wind,
that's something that's a little bit different. Because the anti-front ones you have to pay at the beginning of the combat step, right?
Anti-front, yeah, and a lot of the anti-front or -2 soul characters give the effect to themselves, which means if they're bounced, the effect no longer applies. Because they're all continuous effects, not auto effects. So stuff like the Axel World Green Advanced Summon or Kuro, for example, they're all continuous effects. So when they're bounced, the soul penalty no longer applies. Whereas this just completely blanks a slot if they front attack. And if they can't front attack, they're not dealing very much damage to you, are they? This card, in addition to that, provides good support and lets your jokers reverse things a little easier by giving them 1,500 power. And of course, it's got the defensive scry ability, which goes hand in hand with like a defensive late game. This card is part of why Joker is actually a reasonably good card, in that it synergizes well with both the heal and the need to reverse things. And it also, like, since Joker's not a great finisher, you can fall back on this to be your main level 3 plan. I give this card a good meta rating. I think this is actually just one of the strongest level 3s printed.
You're not going to give it the plus?
I don't know about a good plus, because it does cost 2. And sometimes it's not actually needed. That's the thing. You don't play it every single game. Or at least I haven't played it every single game.
I'd like to note that, well, when you work with this card, you're working with incomplete information. So, like, one of the big things about money and anti-damage is that it's a big commitment, right? You're using it, typically opponent will play, so you're forced to use anti-damage on a lane where you're not sure where you have to use the anti-damage or not. And I think the issue is compounded here because you have to use this pre-trigger. So sometimes you won't even know if you have to use this card. So you're working in the blind a little bit.
That's fair enough.
Also relevant though. This is actually important because of how abilities prime in Weiss. If you're using something like Misakuro against this, they have to pay first.
Yeah. I mean, why would?
I don't think they ever would if the opponent has one of these on the field,
unless
it was
make them have it.
Yeah, but even so, I think you try to field multiple Misakuros in that instance and just try to kill them, force them to use it before. Yeah, look, I still think that this is still the best card in Persona because it does something no other card in Weiss so far has done. It's got 2 powerful defensive effects, and I just think that it's the reason to play blue. It's the reason why meta Persona decks should be playing blue.
I'm giving it the plus.
It's also like a draw for why you'd play this set specifically.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it the plus still. Shiroi was pretty good as far as like defensive back rows were concerned, and this is almost better than Shiroi in every circumstance. There are some circumstances where you might prefer Shiroi anyways, but
well, she doesn't prevent unattack burns and stuff, but
worse against Yami, worse against like Sinon, worse against Ao. But
also he does the -2 soul thing, which is relevant because Natsugu, but that's a deck building thing.
Mm-hmm.
So like they're very comparable in power level, but this is way more flexible than Shiroi.
Shiroi can get what's it called? Windslayered.
Yes.
Top Keck.
Mariel stops that from happening. GG, no way.
No, it doesn't.
Mariel dies, and then it dies.
Ariel dies. Never mind. put a Shiroi behind your Shiroi, and then you'll still lose both Shirois.
Doesn't every character lose the power at the same time?
Yes, but you see, it's a continuous effect that's giving the power.
Yeah.
So that continuous effect falls off.
Assist and globals are continuous effects, so once all of it's been applied, power's recalculated. Like, it's not still 3,100 if the other card is dead.
Even if you put Shiroi behind a Shiroi, the Shiroi still, both of them die.
Yes.
Yeah, correct. Anyway, that's my rating for it. I don't know what everyone else is giving it. I assume they're giving it good something.
I'm giving good plus meta.
Good meta is fine.
Good meta, sure.
Alright. Next card is Yusuke and Goemon Fox. It's a 3/2 10k.
Oh, wait, can we still talk about things? Because there's
you have stuff to say.
Some, let's call it weird interaction between Joker reversing things and you getting to scry and then scrying a pants at the top. Where you actually oftentimes leave the pants on top just because it's basically a free money counter.
Yeah, like
instead of putting the pants away.
Pants going to hand is actually a big plus because if your opponent can't do any damage, like if they have an on-attack burn, then so be it. But if they don't, then the pants in your hand will go back into the deck even after being triggered. So you never have to think about whether to salvage or not if you've got this on the field.
There are some clock clickers that kind of get over this too, though. So it's not
Uh,
not this specifically, but I mean your front rows even with this in the back row. At which point none of her effects can be relevant sometimes.
I mean, sure, but
Not saying that's always the case. It is just one thing that she is slightly soft to.
So green, yellow, go Chiusa, right?
I don't know anything about
Only-
Gochiusa
only
to make
if
it
you play
hard.
On attack, burn, and they have clock kicks.
only if you play the doping event.
Like that, like there are obvious notable pitfalls.
No,
Like,
no, the Gochiusa clock kicks get big enough. I'm pretty sure.
what's the biggest? What's the most played clock kick right now?
That's a
Are
good
they even
question.
commonly played?
Not
I don't
anymore.
think.
I think animals probably.
No, that's not a commonly.
No, I think it's still Akagi because a lot of people still play Akagi for some reason.
No. Well,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
disgusting thing is you might be right, but look, whatever.
I'm pretty
Whatever.
sure over here it's animals. But
No
like
one-
Austria is like
only
the
you
only-
play-
But the only people who play animal are like the people in this
All of
video.
Yeah.
Like,
No, like yet. One guy at Melocus played animals at Continentals, and he went to Top Cut with it. So
oh
One
man,
guy at your locals is clearly the
But-
world, right?
like I'm pretty sure like we are
No,
the
but, like-
number one proponents of the animal deck. Like our
This is the least relevant conversation we've had in some time, and that includes all Gigant side routes.
no, but you see, those are all for comparison's sake. They're still somewhat relevant.
I'm
This
pushing
card
on
is similar to a card in Terraform has.
you try to push them to relevancy at least.
I do.
the
I also
next
have the
level.
Terraformer benchmark. Don't worry, we'll get there.
I'm gonna take a long drink.
All right, here's the next card though. It's Yusuke and
Yusuke.
Goemon.
Yeah, so at the start of your okay, so when this attacks, if you have another if you have another Phantom Thief character, you may pay 1 and discard a Phantom Thief character. If you do, you get to heal 1. And it's also got at the start of your opponent's draw phase, if this is in the front row, give one of your characters 4,000 power for the turn.
I mean, if you want to play like a
Card is
super defensive wall, you could play both this and the other one and just like try to sit on it.
I mean, I do play both this and the other one, but that's not the reason I play this. I play this because it's a serviceable advanced summon. I don't like it, but I think it is perfectly playable. I think I've used the first ability a total of once, and that's only because I triggered a wind.
Man, I'm like,
That's most of the use that you get to like
I don't
pay
think I
out
even
triggered
I'm
climaxes.
feeling my
actually don't think I
Terraformer comparison coming on.
does the
Well-
Michelle do this or something?
No, the Michelle does this far worse.
I legitimately don't remember what that card does. I remember it was terrible.
When you play it, it gains the ability pay 1 on reverse heal.
So it's just a terrible card.
It is
So
real
Yusuke-
bad.
Yusuke and Goemon is playable because you can change into it for a fairly cheap price. It ultimately costs you one extra card. No, one extra card? No, just one card and one
Stock?
card. No, one card and one stock more than it otherwise would. No, wait, it's just one card, one stock.
Yeah.
Just one card, one stock, right?
Yeah, that's the total cost. Yes.
Yeah, it's one card, one stock, but you
You're
basically trade another card
you're playing
for
this from
the
hand, so it's 2 cards,
for
1
a
stock to put this in
bad
play.
card, kind of.
I don't think you don't play this from hand. You discard
Is it-
2 and bounce to change it to hand.
Is that what happens?
And
Yeah, yeah,
Then it's only 1 card. Yeah, you're only losing 1 card then.
Yeah,
it is
but
a
you-
cheap hand.
You're kind of losing too because the 2-1 changer is
I mean,
more or
it's,
less
it's a
losing
costless. It's a
Are
costless draw drop, so.
Yeah, the costless draw
Still-
is pretty solid. Like, I think the 2-1 is very good. The 2-1 is most of the reason to play this card, to be honest. This card is mediocre on offense unless you have the 2-1 protagonist assist that we talked about in the yellow video. And if you do have that card, this suddenly becomes quite formidable. 13k on offense and 14k on defense. Very difficult to get over this. It'll hopefully stay on the field for more than 1 turn.
It's also
And
it
nice.
also like helps you fulfill Joker's condition.
Yes.
of course, by staying on the field.
Yes.
And it's a level 3 to get the full buff from the Joker support. and it's also just a decent defensive character. It helps pay out climaxes. You can't actually discard climaxes with its first effect, but you can pay them out. And that is a heal, like a very expensive heal in my opinion, but it's a heal nonetheless.
I think it's
And
still worth mentioning though, like because of the nature of being kind of defensive at level 3. If you can have this stick around for more than one turn, that's like pretty invaluable. And
this card is solid.
it also shores up your weakness to clock kickers if that's ever relevant.
I do want to, well, only if you have like,
If
if
you
they
have
have multiple, because this doesn't do that much.
Yeah, but I mean if you have one in the back row, like this can be 15-5 on their turn, which is like really hard for a lot of clock kickers to get over.
Also keep in
Free
mind that
counter.
you have to choose at their draw phase.
Yeah.
I do want to point out that being really fat, like it contributes to Joker by being really fat and forcing the opponent to make an empty row, either with an anti-change bomb or with just a ram. And that does make Joker go off more frequently. All in all, this card is just a playable for me. I
Yeah.
don't rate this card very high.
If the set the opponent plays as an anti-change bomb, I'm not sure you ever actually changed this in.
Yeah.
I would change. Pay 1, dish 1 to make opponent pay 3. Like if there was a card that said
No,
on play,
anti-change
pay
bomb,
dish 1.
anti-change bomb.
The one
I
plus
say
bomb.
anti-change bomb.
Oh, I thought you said anti-change. Oh, okay, never
No,
mind.
bomb,
Yeah.
bomb.
Skins also make you consider whether or not you do this.
I mean, if
I
they have
think-
to open up a row, then Joker will go off next turn almost certainly. But
Yeah, but you don't want Joker to go off that turn. You want Joker to go off the turn after, usually.
usually, yeah, that's what I think it is. And all of this leads me to just the playable grade. It's in my deck. I don't actually think it's that good, but the
Yeah.
changer is more than fine, and I'm happy to at least have it.
Yeah, this
And
card is fine.
It helps you with blue. So card is fine overall.
This card by itself, I don't think is better than Morgana, but the changer does make it better than Morgana, I think.
I think Morgana's a bad card, but sure, let's keep going.
All right.
It's only bad in context, like it's fine in a vacuum.
Next up,
Yeah.
Next card, Carolyn. So
the
this is
Velvet Room
0-0
assistants are
bucket.
getting younger and younger.
No, they're not. Margaret definitely looked older than Elizabeth.
Oh wait, this is still this is definitely a Velvet Room assistant, right? Because I've never played P5.
Yeah. She's one of the twins. So
Oh,
Carolyn's
there's
a
two of
0-0
them.
one. Yeah, there's two of them now.
Oh god.
When this comes to play from hand, you may tap this. If you do, put the top card of your deck under this as a marker. When you pay for the cost of an event from hand, you may use a marker under this in place of one stock. And when you play a climax to the climax zone, you may pay 1. If you do, look up the 4 cards from the top of your deck, choose a character with Phantom Thief, Twins, or the name Igor, or rather Igor in name, reveal it and add it to your hand. Ditch the rest.
So this card seems fine.
It's not Phantom Thief trait, I should mention, and there are many Phantom Thief cards which check for full field
field.
Phantom Thief, or one full field Phantom Thief.
What's it called? A really good in execution. That's what.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
it makes
That's
execution
basically
an
what
actual-
it is. Yeah.
Like execution becomes an actual deck because of this, and the Haru 2-1. Like
Yeah.
between these two, execution is a real deck now. It doesn't do what old execution did. Instead, it just kind of plays the game, compresses a bunch, and maybe executes. The goal is no longer to execute. The goal is to win the game, and execution is just a level 3 event.
Yeah.
Well,
But,
was the goal ever to use execution?
No, it wasn't ever.
The
But
goal
some
always was to compress, but execution is basically your.
there
I guess
was
shit
a
went
really
wrong,
bad.
but
There was a really bad build that aimed to execute multiple times, like
the
terrible.
blue-green sports.
Yeah, that's just a really bad deck in concept, in my opinion. Anyway, Carolyn is a very formidable card. She's the Amagi effect. You can't ever call this a bad effect. It's literally a pay 1 plus whenever you play a climax. So if you're intending to play the climax anyway, you can pay 1 and tack a mill 4 and a +1 onto that, and that's super strong.
The reason why this is even more relevant in execution is because basically when you place the climax, you have 6 different audio abilities to trigger, and 3 of those or 2 to 3 of those involve getting a blind stock. So you can just blind stock something and then immediately pay it out again.
Man, this is all assuming you have three Haru. Like that's
also-
not always gonna happen.
How many hits do you have in the deck
so let's
for this
say
card
you
in
have two
execution?
Harus. You have
by
two
the way,
Harus. So
this card is niche.
you blind stock one, pay out the blind stock with Amagi, then you reveal the top card of your deck with your Haru Brainstorm to check whether it's a Phantom Thief trait. Then you know what you blind stock from there. And then
Well, no,
if you have
you-
a third one,
You can't. What? No, you what? So you do a Magi and then you use the. Oh, you're using the Haru Brainstorm, sure.
Yeah.
And then you get to see what you blind stocked, and then you get to clean stock. I mean, sure, that's the perfect field. That's actually more than Railgun has going on. But
that's actually what happens basically most games.
scary.
But it's worth noting that execution is still not that great. Still probably not a great deck.
This card
I mean,
is
it's actually
niche,
fine.
though.
Like
This is niche
it's
plus.
not as good as like
Yeah,
the normal
I give it-
5 deck, but it's actually like a decent deck now. It's better than Excel Word.
I mean, I'm giving it just a solid niche. It's useful. It does lots of good things, but whatever.
No, it's the whole reason execution can be a deck now. So I'm good. That's why I give it niche plus.
Sure.
Yeah,
Keep in
Good in
mind
its
that
specific niche.
the selection of cards it gets is, I think, pretty much everything in execution, unless you tech really weirdly, because the bond to execution is just
it does-
Eagle.
Like Yukiko Brainstorm, and
Like, running that.
yeah, I'm running 3 Yukiko Brainstorm, the Adachi Anti-Change Bomb, and 2 Medea.
Adachi is so
Like,
good. Why would you not run Adachi?
In Adachi, sure.
Look, he's the original
probably-
anti-change bomb.
I don't have any other red. That's probably why I'm not running it.
Eh,
Uh,
I
I'm
still
trying
think it's
to
worth
think
it.
if I have anything that's blue or green that's not in set or Igor. I don't
No.
think so. I think everything else is from new set.
Look, you're gonna hit on the Amagi. That's why.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. Futaba Sakura 002K. When this is placed from hand to stage, check the top card of your deck. If it's a Phantom Thief or Coffee trait, you may put it under this as a marker. If there's a marker under this, it gains 1, 5, and 1 level.
You don't need this, do you?
You don't need this because there's a pretty much better copy of this at common.
Yeah. So
This makes me mad because it's one of the only foils that sold out on New Yute.
Why do you want this in foil?
No, it makes me mad because this just shows how little Japan is thinking about their lists.
Well, like, I think you fail to realize that what they're considering. Japan's entire playstyle revolves around compression, right? So this card can compress 1, while what's it called cannot compress 1.
but what compressing
you're
at level
assuming your
0,
runes has
it
to
doesn't
be-
even really compress.
Compress one because
So,
the card.
so this card does a
Say-
multiple of things. Let me explain. Calm down for a sec. Calm down. Let me explain. So this card, if you reveal a character, you put it under, and then you brainstorm. So you get a 5-card brainstorm for playing this card, while you don't for the other one. And I think that's worth playing because of that. Like, more than
Okay.
the other one. Because 3, 5, 4K if you're level 1 is a marginal difference.
You're playing 4
You know-
events.
No,
I'm
because 4Ks get played everywhere, and this just dies to 4Ks.
But the meta is not 4K. The meta is runner right now. So 3, 5, 4K is actually has a marginal difference when the meta is runner, right? You have to keep that in mind. So if I can do a 5-card brainstorm, but
So many
minus 500
decks-
power, I'd do that.
So many decks have random 4Ks running around, and the issue is it's not even always a 3-5 because you play 4 events.
Yeah. Okay. The event is
Events
the
and climaxes,
scenario
which is like
where it's like feels bad,
25%.
man.
It's 25% chance to miss.
He's right.
Pretty sure
That's
not.
well, 4 events and 8 climaxes. That's
20. It's a little bit more than a little bit less than 25%.
But if I
Basically,
if I reveal a climax, this card has served half of its purpose, right? This card, if I reveal a climax, I'll just brainstorm.
But
And
the
it's like-
issue,
But no, but
Search
the issue is,
afterwards.
well, if this is your turn 0 play and reveal climax. It doesn't do anything at all.
this is your turn 1 play, and you can't brainstorm when it's a turn 1 play.
And you can't even like really pass either.
I
Look,
think
here's the thing. Here's the
Japan's
thing,
actually-
and this is why the reason I don't think this card is good at all yes, it is a query compression aid in the late game. Like if you play this, compress a card, and then refresh in between with the help of your events, yes, you've compressed one card. Yes, you get a 5-card brainstorm for whatever that's worth. But the thing is, if I'm playing this late game, I screwed up somewhere. Like, I definitely messed up somewhere. I never want to play a card that isn't like a level 3 or a 1-0 or whatever in the late game. That's just not something I want to do. If I'm trying to force like an open, like a easy kill for Joker, well, Joker doesn't even need an easy kill. He just needs everything to die. If I was playing like a blue-red build that needed and to kill something, then yeah, maybe you play something like this late game. But in the yellow-blue build, I'd never do that. Like, that's just not something I've done. I don't think this card is worth, like... It's marginal as to when this doesn't plus you. Like, turn 1, play this, get a marker, 3-5 level 1. Sure, that's cool. Your opponent probably doesn't kill it. And if they don't kill it, then yeah, you plussed. But the thing is, the common, the equivalent of this, always pluses. There's like 2 decks in the entirety of the top 20 which have any way whatsoever to deal with this. And, well, those decks are Railgun or any deck that plays 4Ks. And like you said, very few decks play 4Ks at all. Because of that, I'd much rather take the like 99% guaranteed plus over a marginal compression aid, which isn't good on turn 1, it's like the inferior plan in the end game, because I never want to play this down in the end game. Why would I ever want to play this down the end game?
I think it's better for the reasoning that you can do a 5-card brainstorm than the compression. Because 1 card compression, you're right, it doesn't matter too much. But you can do a 5-card brainstorm, and I think it's actually like pretty good. If you're not hitting your man.
You don't need your brainstorms though.
Yeah, this deck kind of does.
Well, you do need the brainstorms, don't be silly. But you rarely find space for this on field. Your field is usually taken up by cards that actually, you know, do things, like your Azuzas, like your 2-1 combo, like any of these cards. And this is mostly here for color fixing, let's be real.
Yeah, it's true. I agree with all those statements, but I think it's a slightly better because so winning the 0 game is like not even important anymore in ways. Like winning the 0 game is important, but like Excel World doesn't need to win the 0 game. Persona actually doesn't need to win the 0 game because of the nature of it 2-1. You just really need to hit your brainstorm. That's actually what you need to do in the 0 game in Persona.
You definitely want to you want to win the 0 game because that's just a plus.
It is. But I mean, you don't need to. You'd rather be able to grab your 2-1 combo and set up your board at the 1 game instead of winning the 0 game.
Plus you can get. You want every plus you can get in Persona because it is not a deck that is handed free pluses.
Exactly. So this card will, in a lot of situations, get you a plus.
No. You're playing like it's deterministic again. The odds of you getting a plus with this is not that substantial. And never mind that if you're trying to use this to get a plus, you use a card in your hand to try to get an additional 1+. The reason why the Mill 5 Brainstormer in CG was good wasn't because that you got to look 5 cards deep, like, whenever, right? Like, it was good. That was the reason why it was good. But it's also because you didn't need a second card to set that up all the time.
Well, I mean, you effectively do because you have a very fixed back row, but...
I mean, no, it's a little bit different circumstance, though. Like, that deck is playing for, like, you paid a deck building cost to have that effect. But you're not paying an additional card cost to use that effect every single time.
I just don't think this card contributes to compression in a meaningful way. I think the 5-card brainstorm thing is reasonable, but at the same time, I'm not convinced that's a reason to put this in my deck over a pretty much guaranteed plus over 2 turns. Like, this is even more guaranteed than runners, and that's really hard to claim. The other card we're going to talk about.
I'll give it playable. You guys can give it niche.
I gave it playable. Like, it's still a playable beater, but it's not the one I'm going to be playing.
I'm very close to giving it a bad. I just don't think there's a reason to play this one over the other one. If the game goes well, and you should expect it to go well because you don't plan to do badly, you just never play this card outside of turn 1. Well, maybe turn 2. But if
I think if you for some reason play four of your blue splash, you can do like 3 and 1 of this. But
Nah, that's rubbish. I
I think
wouldn't do
Japan's
that.
doing 2-2 right now, actually.
If Japan's playing the Yusuke at all, then that obviously means they don't believe in this Futaba strongly enough. I'm
No, they're
confident
playing
enough to
two and
say
two because Yusuke is better at turn one, but this card is better past turn one for it being a 5 bubble, the 5 thing, right?
that's rubbish.
I
You don't
don't.
play 2 runner and 2 of this.
No, not 2 runner, 2 of the other blue cards. So they're
I
playing
know the
multiple.
blue card is basically a runner.
Wait, Japan is actually playing that now because like all of the lists I saw like 2 weeks after release didn't play the Fox and just played the Futaba.
No, this card is getting cute. I don't want ifs and mays and maybe I'll play this and get a 5-card brainstorm. Because the value of a 5-card brainstorm is still like you have to play this. Once you play this onto the field, you've used a card. You've used a card.
I'm pretty sure that you don't actually make your brainstorm hits more likely than you are with missing the top check during level 0 and actually not getting your plus.
Well, no, that's only because events are added to the sum.
Yeah.
But the point is, the guaranteed plus from the Yusuke common is worth more to me over the course of the game because it's still a plus, just like how the brainstorm is a plus. Than having to play this onto the field, give your opponent a free farm target. Like you already have free farm targets, you don't need to give them more. And then maybe getting some value off your brainstorm. Like most of the time, the 5-card brainstorm is barely better than the 4-card brainstorm.
Sure.
And a lot of
Okay.
the time it'll be the same.
I literally just did the math. I like looked up a hypergeometric calculator to see how much more likely are you to hit at least one climax playing this card, right? 10%.
10% is good, dude. 10% is actually pretty large.
No, that's for at least one hit. Right? That's the point. For this to have been worth it, you would need to hit at least 2.
No?
Well,
Yes,
because this card is
you need to hit with this. You only hit with this like 75% of the times, and like 25% of the times you play this at 0, you actually don't get a plus.
And I gave it a very favorable situation. I said there's still all 8 climaxes in deck. And assuming a 42 card deck.
Fair. You have to be fair about this. If this card hits on turn 1, it hits a card and makes itself 3/5 level 1, it's probably also plussing you.
Yeah. That's what I said. That's why it's a 75% chance to plus and a 25% chance not to plus.
Sure.
And
I
you
think Greg
basically
don't
have
have
a
this card,
25% chance not to plus at level 1 for a 10% chance to plus at level, or a higher chance to
With
plus at
30
level.
card, well, I just did maybe a less forgiving calculation. So if you have 30 cards in deck and you have let's say 7 climaxes, the difference is 2%.
That's completely negligible.
It's a 2% difference.
You're not playing this card for a 2% edge.
And 7 and 30 at the points when you're brainstorming is not uncommon. It'll happen, right?
No, 2% is not negligible. It's a very low number. It's not negligible. What is the problem, though, the reason that we're not going for the strictly better option is because it's not strictly better. There is that very significant 20% chance that this played on turn 1 will not plus you. Whereas Yusuke will, against maybe 95% of the meta decks in the game, always plus you turn 1 and always plus you turn 2. This card does not do that as reliably. And because of that, I'd rather just take my pluses there. Because Persona is a deck that just needs pluses. It doesn't need specific pluses. Because it converts its pluses into whatever card is in the top 4 via its event. And because of that, I'd rather keep the Yusuke than this card. Because, how highly do you value the Leafer counter?
More high than this, probably.
No, you can't value it more highly than this. They're the same thing. I'm asking the world champ because I recall someone saying that the Leafer counter really is negligible, and I agree, it is negligible. But if you think that the Leafer counter is negligible increase to your cancel rate,
I didn't say Leafer counter was negligible. I think it's fine. It's a fine card, but I think you should only I don't know, man. I just think it's playable. We should move on because it's I think we're going too deep into a card that's like playable minus-ish.
Well, you've moved from
Sure.
playable to playable minus, which is a big difference. I still don't think there's a reason to play this over Yusuke. I'd much rather take my guaranteed plus.
See, look, I'm just giving it like a devil's advocate because I'd rather play the runner. Like I myself
But
would play the
there-
runner
there's
over any
no-
of these.
there's no
Playing
point.
the runner in
We're not-
Persona is wrong.
But we're
You
not
need
here.
blue.
We're not here to play devil's advocate. We're here to play like what is our opinion on the card.
Yeah, I'll give it playable minus playable. It's like I think Japan's not wrong in playing it. I think there's a better 4K you can play, but I think you play both. I think you play like maybe like 1 or 2 of the dude and like 1 or 2 of this one. Probably more of this one, like 2 or 3 of this one.
No, you have to take, like, why would you play less than 4 runners? That's my question to you.
I'm
Well, no,
updating
I
my
am
rating to
playing
bad,
full.
by the way.
You would play 4 runners? If you would play 4 runners, you should play 4 of the Yusuke. It's that simple.
But I am playing 4 you. I'm playing 2 of this and 2 Yusuke. It's like they're the
No,
same.
but
no.
this card is like an inferior run. Would you play a mill runner? If your set had a mill runner and a normal runner, would you play 2 and 2?
Well, I personally actually like mill runners more than normal runners, but that's just me. So
I mean, that's fine. You value them
If you're running 4 events,
I mean, sure. I mean, it's so hard, man. I understand why Japan's playing it, and so like I don't even think it's bad. Like
I
I
understand.
see the rationale.
I just think that I understand it. They just misvalued it. You have to choose something here. Going 2 and 2 isn't actually useful. Like I've done it myself, but it's not for a very specific reason. Like that card is better in the late game, but it's better by such a small margin that it's not worth it. Whereas what I'm referring to is in Little Busters, there's a bomb that's great on turn 1 and 2, and then there's a bomb that's great in the late game because it top decks when it dies. Like it top decks your opponent.
Yeah.
And I split those.
no, it top decks when your opponent cancels its attack.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
It does,
No,
it does some,
well, there's also a Yuiko that.
Whatever.
Actually, is there?
Yeah,
Wait,
there's a Yuiko.
Still
It's not a
busters
bomb.
have like 3
It's not a bomb. but
level
it's
0
hard.
bombs.
It's not a bomb.
no. It doesn't have that as a bomb. I was wrong. It's when they cancel. But the point of the matter is, I played 3 and 1 because I want the level 0 bomb on like turn 1 to whatever as much as I can. But if I have a salvage option late, then yeah, I'll get the Kanata because that card is impactful in the late game. I don't think this card is impactful in the late game. That's my problem with it. If it was impactful in the late game, if it also had like mill 3 and then it also had the marker effect, then yeah, I'd probably consider playing it. But it doesn't, and that's the problem.
Okay,
Sure.
so
I think-
we have niche.
I'm updating my rating to bad. I think at this point you're giving up too many edges to get a theoretical 2% bump that doesn't guarantee a game win. So that 2% bump is like maybe like a 0.% bump to your win percentage at best. And for me, that's a negligible bump.
I'll give it playable Japan. There, that's my final rating. But we don't have Japan.
Look, I know you talk with some of the Japanese people, and that's more than what I can say, but I still don't agree with a lot of their philosophy. Like, you're agreeing with the community that places Monogatari as top tier, so take that as you will. The next card is Artist of the Phantom Thieves box. Well, you can't say I'm wrong, because that is literally what they do.
You got
one-
me. You got me, man. You got me. Monogatari is garbage. You hear it here, folks.
Yes.
1045. This has, when this is placed from hand to stage, you may discard a card. If you do, salvage advance notice. So this is the second Azusa in the deck, except it's in blue, so you need 2 colors if you want to use this as Azusa. Then it has up to once a turn. When you play an event, this gains 2k. So it goes up to 6/5 when you play an event.
I can't even remember what the other one does anymore.
It is just the 0025.
The other one was 0025?
That is all it is.
I don't know if
Okay.
you run this over the. I guess you're just level 0
You don't
space is a
run
bit
this
tight, right?
over the other one. You can run it
In addition to, right?
complementary.
But in addition,
Yeah.
there are some arguments for this card. So the first argument is that it is kind of field presence, like it's 1045 and then it becomes 1065. That's better than a 0025.
It definitely dies on the swing back if you do it that way
I
without
agree,
having.
it does.
Well, the
This
other
is-
one also definitely dies on the swing back, so it's
Yeah, so it's a moot point. This
Yeah.
is supposed to be played with the 1/1 event version of Advanced Notice, but no one's ever going to do that. Except in like a bad mono blue events deck with the old Teddy and stuff.
America is gonna do
Blue
that.
fixing as well.
Blue fixing
Yeah.
is relevant.
And Japan is
The
probably
second
also
argument-
gonna do that.
Second argument is for blue fixing, which I think is relevant. Although I really, really don't want to be putting my Azusa into level zone if I can help it.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm all about that life.
No, but you see, if you're running this, you're running this like the 5th or 6th copy, right? So then that's fine.
I think it'd be the 4th copy, to be honest. I don't think you need more than 3 of the level 0, because each level 0 Azusa equates to 2 mils, usually. But no, I think the third and fairly relevant effect, reason for running it rather, is that it's a level 1 and not a level 0, which means that if you hit this off Joker, you still do damage.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that is a very really relevant thing. I agree.
I mean, I don't think your numbers update a lot. 'Cause I
No.
think
No, they
Yeah.
don't.
you're still
But the
running
thing is,
like you're
it allows you to basically still play 4 Azusas while playing 15 level 0s.
Sure, that's
You
relevant.
got to squeeze your percentage points though, and since you do have like an effective runner, you can afford to cut down on the zeros in this deck. This card is very functional. I'm not entirely sure it's correct to play it though. I had it
I play
for
1 copy.
I had 1 copy for like the first week. I played it a few times. It came up a couple times, but weirdly enough, it did exactly the same job as the 0/0. And there was actually one instance where I wished I had the 0/0 instead, because I had the choice between blue or yellow for level 1, and I could only pick one.
Sure.
So that is the big problem. It is in a different color to yellow, and since you're not getting anything as impactful as, say, the Puyo Amity combo or the Little Buster's Rin combo, like this is still impactful, but less impactful than those combos.
I also think to an extent, though, like sometimes you know, doing the event a little bit later isn't devastating, though.
I mean, I prefer to do it like as soon as possible.
Yes, but like sometimes doing it like a turn later isn't, you know, hugely detrimental.
That's fine. Look, this card is a very solid playable. I don't fault anyone for playing this. You could play even 2, and I don't think it'd be bad. But I think that since it's in a different color to your primary level 1, you might run into a couple issues with it.
I could see someone running this as their 4th and 5th copies of Azusa. That said, you're basically running 9 copies of that card in your deck now, and I don't know if we've reached diminishing returns yet.
This card is like, it's fine. I don't know what does everyone else think?
I'm giving the playable. I think the 0/0
Playable is
is
fine.
better.
Playing.
You play this over the 4th copy of the 0/0 if you want to run 4 copies of the Digimon.
So you would
Sounds
play.
about-
Okay, sure, that's fair.
I think
Playable
that's great.
plus.
Playable plus, sure.
I think it's an Azusa.
But it's the Azusa that's not as good as the other Azusa. Well,
Oh man. It's still an Azusa. What the fuck?
you know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. This is like a good card because it's an Azusa, but since there's another Azusa, I can't give it the same rating because I think the other one's better.
Yeah,
Oh, I mean, did we give the?
I'm pretty sure we
guys
gave
give
the other
the
one
other one
playable
a
plus.
Oh, I thought you retroactively changed that to good.
We might have.
If the yellow card is good, then this is playable plus.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. We have to give it a stable
The
plus.
thing is that the thing about this is that because you run the other card, you get diminishing returns in this card.
This is an Azusa. Like sometimes this is the
How many-
only Azusa you've drawn.
But how many
and
copies
you-
of
and
Azusa do you need?
That's why I'm still playing it and you guys aren't.
Wait, but how many copies of Azusa do you really need in a deck?
Four.
Right, but
Like
each
in-
event
So
still
I
counts as
think
an
I would run
Azusa.
6 if I had the choice.
Like each
Because
event
you can
itself
run
counts
3.
as an Azusa.
In Persona, you can run 3, but I think you should be running 4.
Each event still counts as an Azusa, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, but it's a not searchable.
I'm not saying it's as good as like a real Azusa, but each event, as far as
You're
I'm
gonna
concerned,
draw.
still counts as an Azusa. Because most of the time you're just drawing
Because
into it.
the event does everything the real Azusa does, including drawing you into more Azusas.
Yeah. So it's
It also
functionally
does
an
other
Azusa in
stuff.
context of the deck. Yeah, it does a lot of other stuff that's super relevant.
Let's This is an Azusa that we didn't give a good rating to immediately. Let's move on.
You guys gave it a good rating? I think it's playable plus.
Yeah, I think it's
Ah.
playable because it has to be worse
Yeah.
than the Azusa
Yeah.
that's in yellow, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys might think it's better, but I think it's worse.
Next.
All right. Futaba and Necronomicon, 105k. Phantom Thief net rate. So when this is placed from hand to stage, it gains X power, where X is 500 times the number of your characters with Phantom Thief or Coffee.
I feel like
So
in
we've
general, I have like a very negative opinion of this archetype.
I don't know why it is rare.
Good question. It's rare in Love Live Sunshine as well.
I think it's rare in freaking Madoka movie.
It was
Yeah.
common in
But in
online
Madoka
EV.
movie, it's stock bondable.
Yeah, it was bondable in Madoka movie. This
This one
seems.
has no reason to be rare. This is a perfectly playable card if you need a 7/5 burst. I don't like it at all. I don't see a single deck in which you play this because all of the blue decks pair better with other colors at level 1, and the other level 1 options for blue aren't anything to write home about. I think that if this is in your deck, you've probably messed up somewhere, but
think-
I can't give it anything worse than a niche. It's still a card.
I'm gonna give it a playable minus. It's a beater if you need it, but in general, my opinion of this kind of beater is generally fairly low. 7/5 is no guarantees for getting over a lot of things, anyways. And additionally, it definitely gets farmed on the backswing by anything that needs to reverse for the most part. So you're put in an awkward position on both fronts, and then even if they didn't need to, like, if they weren't able to reverse, like you were able to reverse, sometimes the decks just don't care. So like this kind of advantage at level 1, like it's not big enough to necessarily reliably kill the things that you want to level 1 bomb, and it even if it did kill those things, it leaves a body behind, unlike a level 1 bomb, which is relevant and also sometimes better or worse depending on the circumstances. But in general, like the decks that want to be farming your level 1s for advantage, Two Lover for instance, they're going to be happy seeing this card across the table.
Agreed.
Playable minus. Moving on.
So
Next card is... Why did this get an SR? What the hell? Yusuke Kitagawa. So this is the other half to the 3/2 we talked about earlier. It's a 2/1/5/5. There's a lot to take in here. So when this is placed from hand to stage, if you have another Phantom Thief character, aka for free, draw a card, ditch a card, and then the top card of your deck goes to stock.
OP.
And
Good
then it
word.
has change, like that alone, that by itself, right there, makes it almost playable. Like it
It's
is already a
2/0
effective-
draw ditch seems fine.
Yeah, like so I value the draw ditch effect higher than most people, but I've also played with it more than most people, so I can't really talk to that. The next bit is where it starts getting like good enough to play in your deck. Change, pay 1, discard 2 Phantom Thief characters, and return this card from the field to your hand. So what you've done is you've paid 1, so you've paid out the dirty stock that Yusuke made. You bounce this to your hand, you discard 2 Phantom Thieves. At the start of your climax phase, you may pay cost. If you do, choose the 3/2 Yusuke and Goemon from your waiting room and put it in this card slot.
So my immediate jump in terms of change profile jumps to the 2/1 changer into Loveru, the Mikan to level 3 Mikan. This is so much better than that one for a bunch of reasons. So the number one awkward thing about the chain condition is that you can't discard climaxes. And because you're playing a level 2, sometimes you're very close to refresh when you're doing this. In this case, you might be close to your second refresh in Persona, but regardless. And that makes the discard 2 Phantom Thief characters like kind of awkward sometimes, where like your hand might have enough like some climaxes in it that you need to pitch first. The fact that it comes with the draw ditch means you already get to circumvent that issue. You always get to ditch a climax if you need to. So
Yeah.
that's actually like enormous that it has the draw ditch before you need to be able to ditch 2. Like it says discard 2 Phantom Thief characters, but it might as well read discard a climax plus another card if you need to, or like an event. It doesn't really matter.
So this card is awful if you don't have very much hand going into level 2, but if you do, i.e. if you got the Joker combo, it's very, it's formidable. When I first read it, I thought it said pay 1, discard 2 Phantom Thief characters, and kill this card. And I was trying to calculate how much stock it just cost me in terms of cards and stock. But then I read it again, and it was pretty good. So this card is quite it's quite serviceable.
Wait,
It's never
doesn't
going
have
to
the
be.
change keyword, right?
It is the change
It
keyword.
does. It does.
It does.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
so
just
they
has
changed
one-
they actually changed the change timing for Persona then.
Yeah,
Yes.
Persona used to be a draw step change deck, and now
They
it's
have. This is one of.
I think they've just killed draw step changes.
No,
Last set that had one was Madoka.
Rebellion had it, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no. What's it called? Had it. Oh my
Well, not including the the change back and forth cards. Those ones don't count.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like Fairy Tail would also have two different change timings, and that doesn't really that's not really true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while since a draw phase change has come around. I feel like I've seen a draw phase change recently, but
Wait, I swear I did too, but whatever.
Oh, Unlimited Blade Works 2.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah.
Hero is draw phase changer.
Okay.
I'm giving
Wait,
this card
the-
playable.
so
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's a playable
Yeah,
plus
this
card.
card, it's a solid playable plus because I'm really high on draw drop, and the fact that it basically allows you a 1-cost 1-card change is really good in my opinion.
I think it's
It
almost
also
good
I
to
also
be
like
good.
because it pays out climaxes while not actually paying any stock if you want to.
yeah. I think that's huge.
I think it's almost good. I think
It's also late game digging for pants. Like,
Yeah, that's very marginal, but it's true.
yeah.
You're
This
not
card
wrong.
might
But
actually be good. I think it's actually good. I think it could be. I think it's good. I think this card's actually fantastic.
I don't know about good. I think it's playable plus because I'm never gonna play this card and be like, wow, that just completely destroyed my opponent. You always have to be in like a kind of stable position to play this and have it do any work at all. Whereas with cards like Yami or I guess Al, you can just kind of Hail Mary of those and those will do their work. Or like even Kuro.
You're comparing apples to oranges, right? Like,
Okay, fine.
This-
I'll
level
just
two-
say that this is a very cute card that has some very neat plays.
Right. Level 2
And-
plays, like the really strong ones, like say Kuro, you don't even need hand, you just need the Kuros and you need the climax, and you're gonna do lots of good stuff with it. This card you just need to have hand.
Yeah,
Otherwise you're gonna go
that's
into level 3 with like
fair enough.
garbage.
Playable plus. Back. Sticking with playable plus.
Damn it, making me update this over and over. Yeah. All right. Next
Actually,
up,
I think it would be good. I'm just kidding.
I'm done with you.
I'm just kidding. Next
Not-
card, our first uncommon, Justine. So this is the other Velvet Twin, 001k. It has Ditch Bonds to Carolyn, and if you have Carolyn on field, this gains assist. All your Phantom Thieves in front of this gain 1 level and 500 power. So this is it has a few reasons for its existence. The first is to facilitate the meme event we will come to later. And the second is to basically make your cards less bombable. I think that's completely stupid because the deck that you play Carolyn in has it has 2/1s that it plays at level 1, so that does absolutely nothing and just makes things
It also
anti-change.
doesn't have backrow space for this.
Yeah, that's true. But
Basically, just a fourth copy of Carolyn that's also a discard out.
pretty much. So this is it's like our Solid MB said. This is you play it for the discard out, and because you want Carolyn in every single game with execution. The secondary effect is kind of medium. I feel like just to avoid anti-changes from Gotchus and the like, I'd rather play this in the front row and just ram it in. But that's just me. I don't know if anyone else is even playing execution, so I don't know if anyone else has an opinion, but I'm just giving it niche.
Niche.
I mean, if it's
Yeah.
only for the execution deck, it's
Niche.
niche by default. So
It's also for the meme deck, for the not for the real execution deck, but for the
the meme execution deck.
other execution deck.
Deck. That's such a
Memes
garbage
are
card.
memes are universal.
Probably broken in standard though, I think.
Not this card, the other. Whatever. Let's move on.
All right. So all your other cards, so Futaba and Swimsuit, all your other cards with Phantom Thief or Coffee gain 500 power. So the Coffee thing's it's her secondary trait for like one of her relatives or something. That's all. When damage dealt by your direct attacking character is not cancelled, choose a face-down card in your opponent's memory, put it in the waiting room. If you do, you may pay 1 and ditch 1.
This is like the
If so-
exact opposite of the freaking Searle changing clothes.
A little bit, I guess. If you do that, you heal. So basically, this is the other like infiltrator card, the one where if you get a direct attack, you get a benefit. Whereas the yellow one was a filter, the green one was a clock kick, the red one was a plus. This one is a minus for a heal. I don't like that at all.
No.
This is by far the worst one, and this is another one in the cycle of swimsuit cards that doesn't show the characters in swimsuits.
And it's just completely worthless, like a
also,
lot of the others.
her glasses are like literally the size of her face.
Yeah, man, it's moe or something. I think that's what the kids call it these days.
I give it bad, not even niche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
you've made a mistake somewhere. Like,
Yeah.
even in Futaba Waifu, I don't know if you can play this because the theme on the only advance notice in her colors is Yusuke, which makes it not a waifu deck anymore. So this is just a global assist. I don't know if that's good
I
enough.
think you have to play it because you don't have enough zeros, but you're not happy.
I
Like
legitimately think
this always makes your deck worse.
Yeah, exactly. If you're playing this in a meta persona deck, you done goofed. There's no
The
reason to play this.
Futaba waifu did that with
What?
He died.
Okay.
Canadian internet
Let's
at its
move on.
finest. Yeah.
Keep in mind that if you have if you say have this on the field and you also have Anne in your deck, but you want to save that card for Anne, if you succeed in a direct attack, you're forced to put the face down card into waiting room, even if you don't want to use the effect.
Yes. You are
Because that's
required
how
to put the face down card into waiting room, and then you may pay cost.
So in that incredibly niche scenario, it is detrimental, and I
Wait.
can't see myself.
Wait, so if the opponent has something in memory and the direct attack sticks, I have to pay 1 to salvage?
No.
No.
You have to
you
move the
put
card from
in.
memory to waiting room. You may pay 1 to salvage.
You may pay the cost.
Oh, I actually didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so it is mandatory, which means if you quote unquote miss the trigger, you can't actually choose not to do it. They still have to put the card into waiting room.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Igor.
card.
This is niche, though, by
Rehabilitation
definition.
task is Igor. So when placed from hand to stage, you may mill 3. You can only mill 3. You can't mill 2 or 1. Only 3 or only 0. When this is placed from hand to stage, you may pay cost of ditch a card. If you do, choose an execution in your waiting room and return it to your hand.
2 cards
So
of
we've been
execution.
we've been referring to execution a lot. The good execution is a 3/8 event. So it's a level 3 event that costs 8 stock, which reads, return all cards in your clock to your hand. Send this card to memory. Before you laugh at me, it is actually a playable card. There are ways to make it work. And at its best, it is a 8 cost heal 6 plus 5. So that's an extremely powerful effect that costs, I think, 22 stock if you were to do it conventionally. But since it's only 8 stock, that is actually a worthwhile effect.
If you're valuing
Now-
each plus as 2 stock, yes.
Yes, I am valuing each plus as 2. So
card's niche though.
It's
it is niche. Like it's a powerful effect for execution. You don't necessarily need to play this in execution,
I
but
feel
it
like
is
you'd
a
still
very
want
I
some.
think actually you need to play this.
no
I think you do.
execution was fine before just drawing it.
I think you need to play 4.
I don't think you need to
No,
play
you
4.
don't play 4.
No,
you
you
play-
play like 2.
Play
It's a
2
milk
or
tea.
3. I play 3
play-
right now.
3
but-
is fine because it mills. Milling is good.
Yeah.
It gets
Yeah,
you
but
to your refresh faster. That's all.
It
Why would you
makes
not
not
play 4?
to keep execution in
Because
your hand.
you
Just
don't want to sit
Yeah.
on executions.
Just trust me
Yeah.
when I say execution always has a stacked level 0. The old execution build played 20 level 0s. My current one plays 18. I don't want to play another Eagle.
Wait, what if I tell you that this card reads, I am Azusa, but I only Azusa for execution in my waiting room?
But that's not
Would you rate it
Azusa.
higher?
that doesn't make it good.
You only have 3 copies of execution. Azusa is good because you just always get something that you can play immediately. Igor is just a discard out.
I was joking, man.
You wouldn't play Azusa if, say, the Azusa in say CG, if it read the exact same text, but instead of music trace, it was girl trait. Like you would not play that card. It's
Girl
not a
trait.
playable.
Wait, no.
Fine, fine. You can only get that terrible TP event, which I don't even remember what it does. I think it gets the names of the 1/1 event. If that was the card,
One
you could
event
get.
is tap 1 or tap 2 to search.
Tap 1, I
Tap
think.
one,
Tap 1.
search 2, ditch 1.
Yeah, okay. So if that was the card it salvaged, and all the other text was the same, you wouldn't play Rin Shibuya. That's not a card you would play.
Yeah. Shout out to Peshcats for playing that card.
Look, I had it in my day 1 build as well for the meta post, but I quickly phased it out. Just not a good card. Not a necessary card.
Moving
So
on.
niche-
Igor is decent execution deck, run 2 to 3 copies, and
If you
don't
want
play
to.
it anywhere else.
And
Except
if
for
you're,
the
playing in, if
execution
you're
deck.
playing in the meme deck, then you probably run the same number.
Yeah.
Alright, so the next card, Genius Hacker of the Phantom Thieves, Futaba. It's a 2/1 counter for 2/5, which means it has another effect. When you use this card's backup, you may pay 2. If you do, shuffle your waiting room into your deck.
Refresh
I
counters
just
are
wanna
nice.
say-
I like
I
the.
want to say that, like, can I say something? I have something very important I want to say about this. I don't think you play this in the meta deck anymore because Refresh is really good with Gate. Like, it's really good in conjunction with Gate, but it's not actually that good in the meta deck, and I've actually never used it once. And I've played a lot of games.
I have used it against one of my friends who didn't know that Persona had this card, and it completely wrecked him, but he didn't know about the card,
mean,
so
Gotcha-
I can't actually use that as evidence.
That's not. You're playing a gotcha card at that point. It's like you don't want to play gotchas. That's terrible. I like the
Still
utility
better
of this
than
kind of
Fate
card.
Grandwater Gotcha, though.
I feel like it's still worth running one, even if you like never use the effect. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
The question is this card better than the memory counter? The memory kit counter?
Probably not.
Yeah,
I think it is.
The thing is, the memory kick counter is also really marginal because Futaba is a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the
So
memory
I
kit
don't
counter
think
is
it
just...
actually matters whether you play this one or the memory counter.
Yeah, but you Futaba like one lane and then you memory kick counter the other lane in TP. TP actually cannot physically kill you. It's actually pretty insane.
I was about to say, yeah, it's good against TP specifically if they front one of your lanes.
TP is good against Uzuki. It's good against like. It's also good against like. Wait, what's it called?
Satan?
Yeah, like those type of restanders, like Satan, Milky Holmes. It's good against a lot of things actually.
Well, Ellie's kind of
If
Big.
your deck is relatively compressed and you haven't spent too much stock, then this counter is also good against those decks that just swing for massive amounts.
But only if they're swinging in for like more than 3 per attack.
I mean, sure. Like, a common scenario is you're going into their combo turn with 3 climaxes in like a 12-card deck. So you let the first attack happen, and then on the second, depending on when you cancel, you could use this counter.
So
If that didn't happen, then you could use wait for the next one. It might hit. It might cancel. If it cancels, and then the next attack you immediately counter, and suddenly you feel a lot better about your situation, in my opinion.
So I actually don't think it has anything to do with numbers. I think free refresh counters, like if I play them, I always play two. I think they're a fantastic card, but I think they're fantastic with gate triggers. And the fact that the meta build doesn't play gate triggers, like
So,
it's all entirely based on that.
Why? I would just want to
Because
Well,
Because-
no, because you can trigger a gate trigger before you're about to refresh, and then immediately pay it out no matter where it is.
yeah,
Like-
it's kind of like that.
But you're
it's
running
also that,
pants
like,
in this
so-
deck. And the
Like
pants
he's
are
right. It has historically just been really strong because like Angel Beats, Log Horizon, they all played gates.
Yes.
They all appreciated this the refresh counter.
Yeah.
I can't talk about Miku because I don't play bad decks, but
No,
yeah,
no. Samson is privileged.
Well,
I
Miku
know,
plays
but-
like 8 gates, so that's even easier. But
Yep.
and that's why Japan plays like the literal reason why Japan plays 8 gates in Excel World is so they can trigger and get the free refresh counter if they trigger like two gates, right, or something like ridiculous, like 3 gates.
Sure.
So like the fact that the
Sure.
meta build doesn't play it makes this card like actually significantly worse. I think it's like I would give it a
This is the
playable
card,
rate.
this is the card you can hold quite easily. Like it's not difficult to get this card into your hand.
In the end, I still think the card is playable.
Yeah.
It's not like
think
it's
it's
the
playable.
game winner. It's just like the added utility of having a pay to free fresh is convenient and it's nice. There's not a lot of deck building costs to have one of these in your list.
Look, I agree that this is really marginal, but I think that it will come up more than, unless your entire meta is like TP or Saturn Restanders or whatever, or like Milky Homes, it will come up more than the memory kit counter will. And I think that regardless of what happens, you play one of the two, not necessarily at a 2 count, maybe at a 2 count. Hard to say.
Yeah, sure.
I wish there was the memory counter every time though. But I'm giving it niche. You guys can give it playable. Yeah, sure.
That's fair.
I've wished, I've played with the memory count at first, and I've wished there was a refresh counter a couple times, so it like goes both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
maybe
I will say that the refresh part is a lot more relevant in execution than it is in a normal build.
Sure. All right. Next up, last uncommon is not a good one.
Right. Tai Takemi, she's a doctor. 2135. Assist 1k.
Is she the
And
first
pay two-
doctor?
Probably.
Dang, Ash has now got a medical degree.
Yeah. Not necessarily. Like, if you have a PhD, that makes you a doctor.
Okay, that's
Not
fair.
necessarily,
He has a
yeah.
PhD in something.
In healing to stock.
That's
Okay,
that's
so-
basically doctoring right there. I don't know, man.
You're not. Well. Okay, sure. Pay 2, tap this, heal 1.
Not
Is
on
this
trait.
a card that anyone would play in anything but a really whack standard deck?
Not on trait.
No.
No.
Flavor though.
Bad.
This is just. Yeah, this is a bad card.
Don't play it.
It's actually kind of flavorful. I appreciate that.
I mean, it's a doctor.
But,
She heals, but she's bad. Bad doctor.
Yes.
Bad doctor.
No, it's just this is not a world.
She's a
where
good doctor, but a bad card.
She's a good doctor, but doctoring is not what gets you the wins.
So
It's-
play this with the Futaba Global, and you can heal 2
Oh
for
God.
3 stock in 1 card in hand.
Jesus Christ, that's
much.
awful.
Do you have any cards that stand cards during main phase?
Not in Persona.
Dang.
You tried.
Okay.
All right. Shall we get on to the next card?
Commons.
Oh, you can pay 1 and ditch 1 with Fox to heal 3 for 4 stock and 2 cards.
Anyways, what does this bond
You should
to?
be quiet. It bonds to a 106k.
Okay.
So this card is 00500 Sojiro Sakura. She has a coffee trait, and she also has glasses if
He.
you want to trigger.
Sojiro Sakura is a he.
I'm pretty sure that's a dude, yeah.
It's
the father
It's
of...
the father.
Did you just assume his gender?
I just seen the picture,
You
bro.
just called him his. You just
Alright,
assumed
what?
his
You
gender.
you
yourself.
assumed his gender.
I did. Alright, so 1 cost bond to a 1/0. The 1/0 is basically a 6k that says if you have, I think it's, if you have less than 2, oh no, if you have 2 or fewer Phantom Thief or Coffee traits, you cannot play this. So basically, if you have this and then 2 other characters, you can start playing the 1/0. All your other hacking Futaba, so that card, gain 1 level and 500 power.
Yeah, I don't think you play this in like any circumstance.
Dice to Kaiki.
Memed. Meme
The
rating.
card
Does it
is
get the meme
fine.
rating?
No.
No.
The card is fine, but like there's no reason to play it. And
But you're not playing it in waifu because it's not waifu.
I mean, it's not on trade with anything but the Futaba cards, which is already bad. The combo itself is not good. It takes up a lot of room. There's no real way to get this guy.
The card you're
Aside
bonding to is also not great.
Yeah, like it's what, a 6/5 level 2? That's really not that impressive.
I'm giving this a bad. If you're building a
I-
deck around this, I gotta say you're doing it wrong.
If you've got like an impure Futaba deck, then this goes into it. So this is a niche
So if you're
card.
playing by Desi rules, right?
Yeah, if you're playing by Desi rules.
What was
like,
Desu rules?
I
Why
think you
could
can
you-
have any. I think you can have any character that's like directly associated with the character.
have-
So like,
You may have
But that's like
50
every
cards-
single character in that freaking series.
Yeah.
What the
no,
hell?
no, I mean like in the sense that like
direct support. I don't know why the first example that came to mind was in Gene, the yellow girl. I've forgotten her name. One of her primary support cards is her dad. So you can play that by Desu rules, even
Dang,
though
I
it's
should have
not.
brought freaking roaches and just gone over.
Do they allow ARF for Fate waifu?
I think they do. They allow ARF. They allow they allow Yukiko cards with Konohana Sakuya on it. They allow the twins in Charlotte, which is complete bullshit. Like complete and actual bullshit. It's incorrect.
I mean, allowing Archer and Shiro is also bullshit.
Yeah, that's
also agree.
incorrect. You can't allow any
Spoilers, man.
any Shiro cards. in the...
Snape killed Dumbledore.
Okay, any Shiro cards under the Blade Works or Heaven's Field
Who's Rem?
cannot be played with Archer because Archer is effectively Fate Route Shiro gone really wrong. You can't have any of the.
Well, he's not. He's not actually Fate Route Shiro either.
I know,
He's
I know. It's very similar to Fate Route Shiro.
Yeah.
Or Fate Route is the closest to the timeline.
Yeah.
The Nasuverse is bullshit. Tsukihime 2, never. Now, this card is niche.
His wife's head's in the box in the end of the movie.
The top
It's not
spinning.
really a spoiler though.
That's true. But they asked what's in the box.
I mean, yelling "What's in the box" doesn't change anything. Anyways, I'm still giving it a bad. I can't think of even in waifu deck that you'd play this, so whatever.
Alright. First encounter, Yusuke, 001k, global support, all your other Phantom Thieves, and for 500 power. And when your other character in the front row attacks, you may pay 1. If it's if you do, mill the top card of your deck. Oh no, wait, no. How's this go? So, when your character in the front row center slot attacks, you may put the top card of your deck in the waiting room. If it's a climax card, you may pay 1 and draw a card.
It's fine.
You know, this isn't actually bad, but it's certainly not good enough to be played.
It doesn't do enough, basically.
Yeah.
This doesn't do. It may as well be. It's an additional mill every turn if you want that, and then it's a global support.
I mean, luckily you don't have to pay costs unless you mill a climax, so you're not like paying and then bailing.
That would be pretty abysmal. I think this is niche minus. I can't think of somewhere you'd play this, but I can't give it a bad rating. Like I can see someone playing it with a reason.
Niche minus
This is
fair to
actually
me.
better than the Futaba.
Yeah, it's
Global.
better.
Yes, it's better than Futaba. Niche minus is
actively bad.
Niche minus is fair to me. I approve of niche minus rating on this card. All right.
Next card. Deal done, Yusuke. We already went over like the entire argument between this and Futaba. It's a 0015 that reads, if this is in the front row center slot, it gains 1 level and 2/5 power. So it is a 4k level 1, which means basically nothing at level 0 will kill it, except for cards in Clannad.
Cost
and-
0 bomb.
Yes, and you need 4 stock for that, mind you. Cards in Zero Note Skyma, which I don't think is a meta deck by any stretch of the
Or they play a
imagination.
climax.
Any deck that plays 2k1 Soul, which is exactly Kisniver, and even then they need... Well, I mean, Kisniver can do it, because they've got supports for the center front row. And-
Index blows this shit up.
Yes, Index can kill it by having the Brainstorm and a 3/5 that isn't tapped in the middle, or they play Kanzaki. And Railgun can do it by playing a 2k1 Soul onto anything, and also having like an Uiharu or the Kuroko. That
GSC has the same back row as the Index one as well in terms of power pump, so GSC can also get over this. You know I have to do it.
Actually, like, you know the card that I think a lot of sets have now, the one that's like when you make a direct attack on something 15, a lot of those can kill this. And then like Maya stuff can basically kill this now too. Anything that has like the Maya pump.
Maya Pump. You
The
mean
plus
one-
15 on play.
I mean, they still have to be like 2/5 or bigger, which isn't necessarily easy, especially because, like, for example, in Talavru, name me one card at level 0 which is printed as 2/5 or
Printed?
higher.
Nothing.
But there's the 3/5 Maya that only I play in the entire world, so it feels bad.
Printed?
So yeah, no
Nothing.
one except you plays that. There is the Searcher Yami, which is a 3k
Unplayed.
when it's first played, but then you also have to commit a second card.
There's also
and
sitting
then-
Yami if you're committing to the board as well.
Yeah, sure, that's true. Sitting Yami can feed on this, but
But sitting
Think
Yami doesn't
about-
need support to feed on this, really.
Yeah, Sitting Yami is a good one.
Actually, it does need support if
It
you
needs
have
one.
like
It needs
and global in
yeah.
the back.
No,
row.
what you need is you need to play the Maya, give it the power, and then it gets 2/5, and then it's 4/5, so it can kill this.
yeah.
But yeah. So the fact that we can list the number of situations on just over 2 hands goes to show exactly how hard it is for a deck to deal with something like this. They need to really go out of their way. Like they need to have, say, in Monogatari, you need to. Can
Well,
Monogatari even do it on
no,
turn
but,
one
but
without going neg?
like the sets we're talking about are sets that will be able to kill it without doing anything out of hand to kill it, right? Like
Yeah, so
they're playing to the board the way they wanted to play anyways while killing this card.
basically they have to be able to reliably kill it without negging hard, and they need to be able to do it like with some amount of consistency, like having one card in your deck which can do it, or a combination which involves a one of. I don't think that counts.
No.
So long story short, this is in most situations effectively a runner, because it will always plus you and your opponent will be forced to direct attack you somewhere. This card is, I forgot to mention this, but this card is actually worse than Futaba in that you cannot use this in the side rows. So you can't kill their random 2/5 in the side row. You're forced to act as if their 2/5 is a runner unless you decide to play something else.
You know,
Which
that's
is-
actually something that wasn't mentioned. That it's actually very relevant, actually.
Yeah, that is relevant, I think. But at the same time, Persona does have like enough cards that they can get over things on the side anyway. They have so many random passive power pumps for no reason whatsoever. And I just don't really understand
Your
that. Like,
Azusa is 2/5,
Yeah.
and you usually have a global impact,
Yeah.
so that's enough to kill whatever's dragging
Well,
around on the sides.
you don't want to play your Azusa on turn 1 or 2 though, because it's not
Yeah.
Azusa at that point. That's the thing. Like, yeah,
Well,
you can.
I usually like if I have notice in hand, I'll ditch it in my starting hand.
Here,
Alright, sure,
how about this? How about this? How about this? If you want to beat a deck that plays this card, if this deck card's ever meta, and you want to beat Persona, you just play your character in the side lane, and Persona's probably not killing it.
But that's fine. Persona doesn't care about stopping the opponent so much as it does about its own pluses.
That's like
Because
every
in
deck
the
right
end-
now.
Like, Persona can't starve someone of resources. That's not what Persona aims to do. It's not what it can do. It just can't do that. So you don't try to do that. Instead, you just go for your own pluses, make sure you get to your end game, make sure you're compressed, and you can play. Like,
Yeah, but I'm
it
just-
is a
I'm just-
really...
You mentioned something that's very relevant. I think I just want to I think it's really really worth considering why this card isn't good because of the reason that opponent can get a free plus if they know you play this card.
Okay, I agree, but at the same time, getting my pluses is more important to my opponent getting their pluses at level 0. That's what I think. Persona
There's a
should play.
lot of decks that want a free plus, like literally a lot of decks that are better than Persona if they can get free pluses. There's a ton.
I mean,
There
the
are also a
cards
lot
still
of
has-
cards that like allow you to still kill cards on the side.
Yeah, the card still has to be kind of big. Like, you can't just have a 1/5 and expect Persona to be unable to deal with it. They can just play a Makoto and like a global support in the back, and even without using the Makoto's 1K, you kill it straight up. Like, there are ways to deal with it that don't involve you missing anything particularly significant.
Fair enough.
Like, it has to be like a 2/5 or a 3K or a 3/5, and those cards are already pretty hard to, like, runners are the most common 2/5s you'll ever see played, and runners you can't kill anyway.
Playable? Playable plus? Playable?
Playable. It's playable. It's just a beater.
Playable.
Yeah.
It's playable. It's not a runner. It is markedly worse than a runner, but in many situations it is an effective runner, so it does the same thing. And that's why I'm not giving it playable plus or good, because one, your opponent can play around it and get their pluses without any fear, but it gets you your pluses, like generally gets you your pluses.
I mean, if you don't need the blue fixing, this set does have a real runner.
Yeah, this is worse than a runner. You should play a runner if you want, if you're okay with red instead of blue, because runner will get away from your opponent's on reverse combos. It's a more guaranteed plus, and the only instances where it will lose when this doesn't is to anti-runner bombs or anti-runner cards, which aren't very common.
It also loses to dry field at level 0, which happens a lot.
Popping level 0s or killing level 0s or whatever.
Yeah, there are lots of answers, but yeah, I mean, If you want a real runner, the set has a real runner. You don't necessarily have to play this.
All right. Next card, deal done, Futaba, 0025. When this is placed from stage to waiting room, you may pay 1. If you do, look at your stock, search for one card that is either Phantom Thief or Coffee or an event, reveal it and add it to hand, then shuffle your stock.
So I definitely looked at this card and was thinking, man, that's such a cheap plus. What's the condition? And totally neglected to read stock. It's a pay 2 plus from a very limited pool.
This card is terrible.
I think it would be fine if you could grab climaxes.
That would be busted.
It
Oh,
wouldn't be busted, it'd be good.
But you
it
could-
would be
good.
you could use
would
it to
be good,
get
it
the
wouldn't be
pants
busted.
dig let's say you triggered a climax
Yeah.
the pants is your first attack, right? Now you get to pull that out. No matter how deep the climaxes are, you can always pay them out.
Yeah, if it's that deep. Yeah, no, that's a solid point. But we're talking about what ifs. The card as is in my
Bad.
opinion, actively bad.
Yeah.
Because did you read that it
Yeah.
shuffles your stock?
That's really bad.
If you had a climax in there at all and you need that plus,
Oh,
well, good luck, buddy.
have fun.
Want to play some more roulette?
reactive. Also reactive.
Anyways, moving onward. This card is bad.
Reactive doesn't necessarily mean do you think Psyker's Wish is a bad card?
Yeah, but Sayaka's Wish is reactive, but it plays as Sayaka's Wish plays as a defensive out. So Sayaka's Wish is effective Veiler.
The word you're
Wow.
looking for is broken.
This
Psyker's
card is like
reactive is broken.
Sayaka's Wish is effective Veiler, while this card is like
Oh my goodness.
this card is like what is this card? This card is like
This card is
this card is like
is
Dark. This card is like the nerfed Dark Soul, while Sayaka's Wish is effective Veiler.
wait. So if Psyker's Wish is effect Baylor, then this card is like this
Nerfed
card
Dark
is
Soul.
no, it's like freaking it's Karibo. This card is terrible. You never play it.
Was
Yo,
Kurima
Kurima-
really that bad?
Rebo's cool.
Someone who didn't play Yu-Gi-Oh?
He's
I
in
think
some
Karibo is
actually
pretty
does.
bad.
I played Karibu Chaos.
Oh,
Or
let's
Kubo.
flip this card back. By the way, anyways, the next card. That card is bad. Please don't play it.
106k hacking Futaba. If you have 2 or few other Phantom Thief or Coffee characters, you can't play this from hand.
Yeah,
It's
that's
6k.
freaking awful.
It's like
Just hacking, though.
not the worst thing I've ever seen, but if this is like if you're hellbent, well, not hellbent, like if you're low on
If you're
resources
hellbent.
and you have to, I mean hellbent in the traditional sense, not the magic sense or like the Yu-Gi-Oh sense, whatever. If you're
Does Yu-Gi-Oh sense?
well, I don't know. I've heard it referred to with Dark Worlds. Dark Worlds? Might have been whatever. If you have no cards in like few cards in hand and are forced to clock and you only have 3 playable cards and this is one of them, you can't play this card.
Yeah.
Like,
No, this card
add
is
that.
really.
Yeah, you add that to the fact like I can't see a place for this card. I just don't think it's a playable card.
I
It's
gave
like
the thing that bonds it bad, and I think this is still unplayable on its own. So I'm gonna give this one also a bad.
a budget playable card, but we don't plan for budget here at Top Tier 2s.
What a competent Weiss deck costs you like $120 at most,
Oh, well, depends on the Weiss deck, I think.
I guess.
Definitely goes up to 200.
You can get a competent deck for 120, like Animal and Index, but most decks cost around 200.
If Index keeps dropping at the rate it does, in about a month's time, it'll cost $7.80.
Nice.
Tree thing.
It's actually lower than $100 right now, yeah.
People need to
Guilty
pick up their
Crown
index
is
shit while they can.
Yeah, Guilty
It's
Next
never gonna go back up because now Japan can play Railgun instead of Index.
What?
No, man, Index 3 is coming out eventually. I
No,
believe.
unlikely. Makes me sad too. Anyways, I'm giving this a bad. Where's everyone else on
I
hacking?
mean, Index 3 is more likely than Tsukihime
It's
2
niche.
ever.
It goes in
coming out.
Futaba waifu.
I don't know.
Niche.
It feels bad, man. I don't know what
Dude,
to say.
Taba waifu can only play 4 climaxes, dude.
I'm gonna move on to the next card.
Alright, next card is Card Copy, Yusuke. It's a 1135. Oh, this is an interesting card. Your other Phantom Thief character in the front row center gains 2k, which is a pretty decent buff, to be honest. And when this is placed from hand to stage, you may pay 2. If you do, Search your deck for a climax card with the same name as a climax already in your waiting room, and add it to your hand.
So get your pants, right?
Yep.
Pay 3, get your pants. You know, anti-damage is a lot worse when you're paying 4 for it.
Yeah.
My pants were $35, so.
Hey man, we were all running Jack Brothers a few weeks ago. Just saying.
I have no response to that. I think this card is obscenely expensive,
this
and for
gets
that
the
reason,
niche.
I'm not sure it's playable.
It gets the niche. You might want this.
I do not think this is playable.
No.
You
No,
don't have back row space for this.
I think that's
No,
the
it's not
bigger
even
argument
back row.
against it. I think the lack of back row space is the real strike. Just put this in the front row. Who cares?
He does work in the front row. He's not wrong.
Who cares?
This card is
minus
card-
one.
Niche
it's
minus.
not -1.
I'm saying because you're putting it in the front row, so you just die.
Whatever.
Yeah, you
Niche
pay
minus.
3 to go -1. Well, you go -0 because you have a climax now.
You get
Yeah,
you
you
go
go
neg
neg
1
1.
because you basically sack the character slot too. But whatever. Niche
It's
minus.
cool. All right, it's niche minus. Even in like it doesn't even work in standard. Like, why would you play this in the standard deck when you could just play glow sticks or the rewrite event, whatever?
Whatever. Niche minus.
The owner of the Velvet Room, Igor, 1/1/5K. Alarm: if this is at the top of your clock, at the start of your main phase, look at your opponent's hand.
So I'm gonna go
This
ahead.
is broken. What the
This gets the meme rating.
Dude, this is actually broken. What the hell?
This
Alright,
this
so
gets the
first things
dank meme
first.
rating.
Information is amazing in most card games.
Not in
But in-
Weiss.
Yeah,
In
but it has
white?
a trigger.
You know, okay, you got me. I'm gonna go get a drink. I can't take this level.
The fact that it has a trigger actually makes it better than a lot of other alarm cards in Persona.
This is absolutely true, but this is getting the dank meme rating. I don't know what else to say. But information in Weiss is like actually very, very, very weak because you can already kind of count everything anyways, and everything moves so quickly that like the information that you have is like kind of irrelevant.
Information is important at certain times, but like at the points
Okay,
where you're
so-
alarming
so-
for this.
So the
like,
information, the reason why this card can be great.
Information is useful, but it's not useful enough to put a card that does nothing except give information into your deck.
Dude, I can clock this and then check if my opponent has counters and play my Joker turn the way I want to play it. Or I can
I don't-
clock this.
No, but
yeah,
you see,
but you have
no,
to,
but you see, here,
you have
here,
to draw this.
first of all,
you can't get
there's
this
two
any other
problems.
way.
There's two problems.
Dude,
There's
I'm
two-
gonna play 4 of this in my deck now. I
Oh,
changed my
God.
mind. Holy crap, this
there
card's
are two
broken.
problems with that, right? One, you can see their hand, and a lot of the times you can't do anything about it. You just get to see their hand and know that you're fucked. Right?
Isn't this standard playable? Isn't there a card that says call a card in your opponent's hand?
Maybe?
I forgot which set it was.
Regardless.
Okay, I legitimately just put my head in the shower because that was way too much for me. Shout out to Samson Chow, and the other 1/1/5K with a soul trigger from Melty Blood.
Who is
Anyways.
also worst character ever.
But anyways, like the information is like
not the
rarely
worst.
relevant, except in the condition that you're running 2 souls, and you need to know
But
exactly
we are
how.
talking about a blue card, right?
Yes.
No, I'm talking. No. I'm talking about a green card.
Are you? I don't know, man. My knowledge of anything older than like 2012 is like completely non-existent.
Rare Spike is 1/1/5K with a soul trigger.
Anyways, what was I saying?
Is she 6K? She might be 6K.
She's 1/1 vanilla soul trigger 6K body.
She has to be 5K, right?
No. Does she have an ability?
Yeah, she does, but
What's
the
the
abilities
ability?
are bad.
What's the ability?
She gets bigger.
She gets bigger, then she's probably 5'5".
No, she's 5K, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
She's not 5'5".
CL is 5k.
I
And
know
a
who
soul
you're
trigger.
talking about, but that... No.
Anyways,
Yeah.
the information
Reese is a 1/1/5K with 1 soul trigger, but it becomes a 1/1... becomes 7K if you've got a Shion in front row.
You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of that really garbage 1/1/5/5 soul trigger like hand encore from KOF.
Only you would have that as the thing that it reminds you of.
No,
I'm-
just
I'm-
like just like going on the list of like 1/1s with soul triggers that are just like randomly terrible.
Wait,
Oh,
why
but you
would you play the 1/1? Uh, why would you play that 1/1 if there was a 1/1 vanilla?
You wouldn't. In fact, you play a 1/0 vanilla in that deck
no,
because
no,
you can change
back
into it.
then the vanillas were 1/16Ks with Soul Trigger.
Yes,
But
But the
Multiblood also
1/0
has a 1/17K
But
without Soul
Because this
Trigger.
card is 1/8K.
oh shit.
The bond gives it 1K.
So
Oh, sure, there's a bond.
is everyone all together on the dank meme rating for this Igor?
I think
I
this
just wanna-
card is as good as Trap Dust
I
Shoot.
want to talk about information. So information is like amazing. It's ridiculous. It gives you an insight onto what your opponent could be
Get Pro
thinking.
got
which
banned in Modern.
in turn, it gives you information as to how good your opponent might be, depending on how they play. But the problem with Weiss is that unlike Magic, unlike Yu-Gi-Oh, you don't just draw one card a turn. You draw 3 cards, plus or minus what you brainstorm into, plus any random draw drops, plus whatever. So
You're also not allowed to take
Your
notes
hand-
anyways.
yeah, your hand will be completely different to the like you'll know your opponent's hand for 1 turn, but after that it could be pretty much anything.
Yeah, but
And-
if I triple cancel, I can look at my opponent's hand again.
But then you didn't clock for card advantage.
And you probably lost all your field because you're playing Persona. if you are like a well-informed player, you already know a lot of what most decks do, and you plan for the effective, most common and worst case scenarios. That's what I do when I play.
The only thing that this gives you that's relevant is it lets you know exactly how climax triggered your opponent is if you've been keeping good count.
You should also note that you can get this off Carolyn.
I mean, yes, it has Igor in the name. Lets you clock it. Wait, but she gets it in your climax stage. You can't even clock it.
Correct.
Oh man, that's
I-
a massive failure right there.
You can do it next turn. Look, I know that information is really good in card games. I think it's like super strong in Magic, super strong in like
It
Pokemon.
got Get Pro
Super-
banned.
Get Probe was
Trap Dust Shoot is banned. This card should get banned.
Get Probe was broken because of like Become Immense and.
Well, it's also
freaking-
free.
That's the thing. I don't think this is a bad card, but I also think that you should just be learning what decks do. You shouldn't be relying on knowing what your opponent has. Just always assume they have the worst, and then play in a way that takes advantage of both them not having it and them having it, which is very possible in Weiss.
That's also one mentality. The other playstyles make him have it.
I
Also known
I
as
mean-
how to play combo in Magic. Make him have it.
well, that's how you play against combo as well.
Yes, make him have it.
All right, so this card I'm giving a look. It's not a terrible card, but I think it's a trap. Anyone coming from another card game, look, it's really weird to see anyone coming from a card game aside from Yu-Gi-Oh or Vanguard, but Yu-Gi-Oh players know, and Yu-Gi-Oh and Vanguard players should know how strong it is to know what your opponent's hand is.
I feel like it's fairly
It's not
amusing because I
from-
think we both have Magic backgrounds.
My background's Pokemon, which is a bit,
Okay, well, I mean,
Less.
casting Windfall every turn is pretty good.
yeah, sure.
Casting Windfall that doesn't cost mana every turn.
Free Windfall?
Well,
What the hell?
It
Magic.
costs you your
One
supporter
trainer
slot,
per
which
turn.
is a pretty big deal, and it's also the reason Pokemon
That,
is
that restriction wasn't in place from the start, right?
No.
Because it was
No.
normal trainer.
Just like keep
was-
casting
it was
bills.
It was from the Ruby Sapphire generation, so I think Aquapolis.
Just keep
uh,
playing Bills and Professor Oaks and you'll win eventually.
You often deck out in that format. Actually, you're not careful. You have to be very careful about that. But and there's Lass in that format, which is garbage. But point is, this information in Weiss is more valuable than in Pokemon, but less valuable than in most other card games.
Information in Pokemon seems like it's entirely irrelevant when they're drawing like 20 cards in a turn.
Well, you don't draw 20, but did you know there's a card that reads, you and your opponent both shuffle your hands into your decks and then draw
Yo, yes.
Equal to the number of prize cards, yes.
Yeah,
Dude,
you know that
yes.
exists. Therefore, information is it's even less relevant. There was a card playable.
Judge.
There was a meme deck which had an attack that said, "Look at your opponent's hand and choose any number of Pokemon there equal to number of psychic energy and put them into the exile zone. So there was a Pokemon called Mr. Mime, which lets you look at your opponent's hand.
Memes.
Just for free, once a turn. The fact that it can be on a free... There's a card in the news set, I think, which does that as well, which might be okay. Looking at it every single turn is fine, but looking at it like once is not good enough. That's the thing.
Wait,
That was an
but
attack, right?
Doesn't Pokemon also have like no way of interacting on your opponent's turn?
0.
I mean, interaction is a very difficult thing to describe. A lot of people think
Because Weiss has like at least counters to interact.
Well, I think Pokemon has more interaction with the opponent's board, just not on their turn. Like Pokemon,
Yeah,
you have like
can
a Megaphone. You have like
Megaphone doesn't exist anymore. There's no tool removal, so we're all screwed. There are lots of ways to
the Megaphone got
format.
rotated. What the? Did Mega? Oh my
Yeah,
God,
Gardevoir is still in the format, and they've rotated Megaphone, so the format's
every time I think like Magic
as
is
in
screwed.
Gardevoir is everywhere.
Every time I think like Magic is screwed for banning cards in Standard, I just keep thinking to myself, "Thank God I don't play Pokemon."
Yeah, Pokemon is a very problematic card game. It is a commercially successful card game. I do not recommend it to anybody right now because it is, in my opinion, not very fun for anyone who likes to think hard about their card games.
I mean, it's just solitaire. Can you figure out your puzzle? I don't know, man. I play Manaless Dredge sometimes.
We are very far off the topic at hand. I'm giving Igor a niche rating because I can't, by principle, I can't give this a bad rating.
I'm still giving it the dank meme rating. It's
I'm giving it a dank meme rating.
I'm giving it Igor out of 10.
unfortunately that's not a rating, so you'll have to settle for dank meme.
Right.
Wait, we have a dank meme rating now?
Yes, I added a dank meme rating.
Yes.
While you're at Jack in the Box, he added the rating.
He was jacking in the box.
Anyways.
I went to McDonald's, actually. Dude, I got the Grand Mac. It's as grand as they say it is.
You got the patty burger? Wow.
I mean, okay, the Grand Mac is more interesting than this card, let's be honest.
Dude, we talked about this card for 20 minutes.
This is all because you guys screwed around the beginning and made me go off to cool my head.
Alright. I'm high, so I got an excuse. I don't know if you guys do.
I'm so dumb.
This is why we rotate colors. The first color we ever do in any session goes for like an hour and a half.
Well, we've gotten past that point.
All out attack, Yusuke. This is the last common. 1155. If you have two or more other Phantom Thieves, this is a 7-5. Well, yeah, sure, the event. And when it was fun while it lasted, goodbye is placed in the climax zone. That's the stock soul, I believe. You may pay cost of 1. If so, search your deck for one of this card, put it on any slot on the stage, and shuffle your deck.
Hey man, it's a pay 1 plus.
It's a pay 1 plus, but you will never actually truly plus because you played the climax. And having 2 of this in play and 2 in the deck is a truly dank meme. It's not gonna happen. I promise you. It's not gonna happen. You're gonna trigger one at some point, and like you're gonna mill one with Igor or something. Or
Dude, this is like a really shitty soundless voice.
It's not soundless voice, but it does the same thing, and it is worse. So I guess you are technically correct.
It's a really, really shitty ice cream.
Dude,
No, it's like a worse Ilya combo and a worse soundless voice, and it's also a climax rare for some reason.
Is this
Dude,
the
Dodai
climax
is
rare?
Yeah.
Dodai is printed plus on 1 card.
Dodai's
Dodai
insane.
is demonic.
It is demonic. This card is a niche card for me. I don't actually think it's a bad card. I think that it gives you a free rush and then 2 7/5s, which hopefully don't get bombed.
Let me think. What did I give the Ilya card way back when?
Did
Probably
you even do ratings then?
I think I gave it a playable. I'm gonna be real. This is worse than that. So this is probably niche.
Is this actually worse? It gives you 2 7/5s, and
Yeah, but this costs stock and the other one doesn't.
That's true. That one does. Yeah, sure. Fair enough.
I think this card's actually like niche or even bad.
I think niche is about right. This is definitely worse than the Ilya one. And I think I gave that one a playable.
This isn't a straight up terrible card though. Like it is still advantage of a sort in that you get to play your climax, and it only costs 1 for 2 1/1s because the stock it's a stock soul. So it's not even awful. It's just really really mediocre, and sometimes you snowball into a win.
Niche, let's move on.
I agree.
He's pretty hot.
We've got how many cards? 3 more cards left, and they're all events. The first one, advance notice. So 1/1. If there's no, so it's a counter. If there's no face down card in your opponent's memory, your opponent chooses a card in their hand, sends the memory face down, then draws up to 1 card, and then the actual effect. Choose a Phantom Thief character, and it gains 2/5, and the ability. When this card's battle opponent is reversed, you may put it on the bottom of the library. Only for the turn, not forever.
So it's below rate for an event counter, and the bottom decking effect is like pretty mediocre.
It like does very little. This card is randomly effective against restanders, but you already have a 2/1 counter for that purpose. I mean, I guess this one doesn't give them innate compression.
I guess you can do some like really funny things depending on what the makeup of their hand is going into their turn, or sometimes you could just screw them.
I mean, sure. This card is, in my opinion, bad. If you're playing any of this card, your deck is probably worse.
If you're playing any of this card, it means you're not playing 4 of the yellow ones, so...
I mean, you're not playing 3 or more of the yellow one. You could be playing 3 yellow, 1 blue, which I heard some people were doing in Nisekoi, but unlike in Nisekoi, this is just a below-rate card. It's
Even
a
in
1/1...
Nisekoi, the 1/1 event counter was below rate.
It was just bad. Like, in Nisekoi, it was just bad. You didn't want to play it because... like Mr. World Champ here says, it's reactive, and that is actually a problem in Nisekoi when you have to get the card off. Whereas here, it's like opportunistic, but not good.
Anyways, yeah, I think bad is appropriate. It's below rate for an event counter, it's below rate for the effect. I mean, I guess sometimes you can randomly screw someone if they really needed that 1 card in their hand, but that's
You sounded really hot when you quoted me. That was really hot, dude.
You made him wet.
That's gay.
Nice. I'm not calling it bad, but it's like niche.
But it's pretty good against TP. It's a bondable out to TP, but then again, your counters are searchable out to TP, so yeah.
I mean, this is also searchable.
Bondable.
Basically the same thing.
I mean, whatever. It's still whatever. Let's move on to this is getting a dank meme rating, by the way.
Alright, yeah, this one is what we made the dank meme rating for. Execution is a 1/3 event that can be bonded by Eagle. It has the same name as the Persona 3 event.
You can only run a total of 4 of both for whatever.
Alright, so think of it as a fusion between personas. The flavor text is startlingly accurate. So the text, and just keep up here, okay? So there's a lot to take in. Choose up to 4 of your characters and put them in the waiting room. So this is a possible -5. Then search your deck for up to 1 Phantom Thief character whose level and cost add up to X or less. Then put it on any slot on the stage. X is the sum of levels and costs of the characters put in the waiting room this way while they're on the stage. So if you put 2 1/0s in, you can get a character that's 1/1, or if it existed, you could get a 2/0, or you could get a 1/0. If you put 2 2/1s...
No. Wait, yes.
No, that's correct.
Wait.
If you put 2 2/1s in, you have 6 total to distribute. So you can get a 3/3 or a 3/2 if you've got a Phantom Thief that costs that.
If you have 5 total, 5 costs between them.
Yeah, you need 5 cost total to get a 3/2. Now, this does actually include like on-field buffs, like Justine, which gives 1 level to everything in front, because it counts the effects, counts the levels and costs while they're on stage when you sack them. So there's still that high of a level.
I don't understand why this card doesn't like innately just add an extra 1 or 2 to the X, just innately.
Because they were afraid of that being too powerful, and this way it still maintains the flavor.
So what? 1/3 search a 1/1 and put it into play does not sound like something that's broken.
So 1/3 -2 to put a 3/2 into play. And you pay to stop.
Isn't there a Summon Saber event that is 1/3?
Yes,
Yeah.
and that one's
But
like
that puts
actually
me-
better than this.
Yeah, because that doesn't require you to sack any characters or go through hoops. That one's just put a saber into play from your hand.
Yeah, it's like Summon Saber. I think it's literally called
Is
Summon
it-
Saber.
Yeah, there's a Love Live Sunshine event that's similar. The only reason this card isn't good is because
Only reason.
there are no Phantom Thief characters in any series, that includes Milky Holmes, worth putting onto the field early and dominating. Like if you could pay 6, like 6 total level cost, and put the new ReZero Reinhardt into play at level 1, would be really stupid. Like
Dank
that
meme.
could actually just be really dumb.
No,
but-
I think that's actually not the best card.
What's better? Let me think.
Subaru.
really?
It's pretty dank.
Do you actually think so?
No.
That's pretty fun. Though.
Rem?
You should
I don't
put. Bodyguards are probably fine, but like I don't like Reinhardt because you.
It has to be hexproof though. It has to be a hexproof bodyguard, and those aren't exactly common.
Wait, there are hexproof bodyguards?
I mean, if you could summon like
Reinhardt.
3/2 Shinobu, that would probably be pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Okay, with your total experience 3, that seems very strong,
Oh.
right?
Oops.
Miki! Oh
No. We've already gone over Miki before. Miki's a bad card, no matter when you play her.
You actually
I
can play
think-
Miki
I
at 1
think-
in Idolmaster.
And it doesn't make it good.
I was about to say End of the World might actually be better than Execution, which is really depressing.
This card's
I would
as
consider
good as
putting
the support card.
like the 3/2 Yukiko in, because that's just a 9/5 burn every turn. But
There's got to be
you
a
can't.
better burn every turn, though.
Not
No.
really.
No.
Yukiko's costless and just hits very often.
Also has hand
Maybe
on cord,
Ball?
so she dies.
He's got hand encore as well, yeah.
What about Ball?
Ball?
Let's
Ball isn't good enough because he's
Ball
not body.
is
What about
worse than
Kirito?
Reinhardt.
What about Kirito from GST?
What's GST?
Okay, you win. Yeah, Kirito's just probably the best card to put in, probably.
What's GST?
Gigantic. You're so
Don't worry.
The
This
shitty
gets the
meme
dank
set that I
meme
play.
rating. This gets the dank meme rating from everybody. Kind of like how GST just gets the dank meme rating as a whole.
Yes.
Alright, look, the last card.
Gaunt Shooter.
Yes.
The last. Alright,
Mhm.
so
There.
last card is Velvet Room.
There's another Velvet Room card, right? This is not the first one with the
Yeah.
name Velvet Room.
There are multiples, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, there. I think. Wait. Yeah, there is one. I think it's from the first set. Is it? Is that? Wait. Does Igor bond to Velvet Room? I've forgotten.
I think there's
Yeah,
an Igor
done.
Bonta
Yeah.
Velvet Room.
Never mind. Yeah. So the 2/1 Igor bonds to this as well from P3. Oh, that's really cute actually.
Anyways.
So 1/1. Choose up to one of your characters and put it in the waiting room. If you do, search your deck for an event, reveal it, and add it to your hand.
I mean, it's a -1 to search an event. So it's like basically a pay one ditch search an event.
So what you do is you play this to enable your other Velvet Room, which is a 2/0 event that reads draw a card. And then once you've done that, the 2/1 Eagle becomes a 2 cost +2. And that's wait, what were we doing again?
Dank meme rating.
Yeah, I agree. This card is too expensive to actually be any good. You go neg-
Would you play this if the set had a 2? If like any random set had a 2/3 money counter?
if it was Compass, I would consider it. If it was a 2/3 counter, no. Especially because this is also just an event, which, like, it's not a counter. Like you can't. It's not a sack counter. If it was a sack counter, it might be okay, but it's not. Actually, if this had the counter mark, this would actually be pretty good. You'd be searching a card out of your deck.
It's also
Well,
you'd be
that would be a 1-cost sack counter that replaces itself.
yo.
That's broke.
Where have we heard
Yeah.
that before? one cost sack counter that replaces itself, basically.
Yeah, but it doesn't replace itself from clock. There's a big difference.
What? I'm still talking about freaking terraformers. I don't know what you were talking about.
I was certainly talking about Psyker's Wish.
That one just gives Encore to 2 things. One
Alright.
sack counter. Give 2 things free Encore. Yo.
I think we've
Dude,
long
this set
overdue
one
that.
Eagle is so good. What the hell?
You're right. It is really good. It is the reason. Like
it does
I've got
have
a
a
full,
trigger.
I've got a full Velvet Room deck, and the only way it has hand late game is because I just chain Igors and Velvet Rooms. I'm really good at playing Velvet Room and drawing into Velvet Room. Like
Anyways,
that's my thing.
so that is it for
It's
blue.
like playing 2K1 and drawing into 2K1.
That feels so bad, though.
You're never running out of 2K1s.
You're also
Nice.
dying.
All right, that brings us to the end of blue. I've been requested to say something specific, but we'll be back with the set overview, and it was fun while it lasted. Goodbye.